Hello and welcome to today's episode of Simple Business Dream Life with me, Emma Hine. Today I want to start by painting you a picture. So you're making money, but it doesn't feel how you thought it would feel at this point. Why? Because 1 month is brilliant. Clients are coming in, sales are taking place, momentum is building, and you're starting to think, yay, I finally cracked it. But then the next month goes quiet. You're back in hustle mode, creating and pushing out more content, doing more things in the hope that that brings the sales back in. You're working just as hard in the quiet months as you are in those good months, sometimes even harder. And you just cannot work out why the effort isn't translating into something more consistent, into more consistent revenue. Does any of that sound familiar? That feeling, that cycle, that exhausting peaks and troughs pattern that just keeps repeating no matter what you do. Well, that's what we're talking about today. And we're going to explore exactly why it's happening. And we're also going to look at what you can do about it. So let's start with a bit of a reframe. When income feels inconsistent, the natural response for us as human beings is to fix it with more content, more visibility, more offers, more launches, more activity. And guess what? It works. You have a push and things pick up. The month begins to look better again. And then it drops off again because you simply cannot keep up that pace, especially because you've now taken on more clients and you're doing more delivery work. So what do? You have another push. And guess what? It picks up again. And this pattern goes on, the same pattern on repeat. And the reason it keeps going is because you're treating the symptom, you're not treating the problem. Every pound you make requires you to actively go and get it. The moment you stop pushing, the income stops flowing in. Nothing's working in the background. There's no pathway that's bringing clients in without you having to manually drive that sale every single time. You're essentially starting from scratch every month, and that's exhausting and it's not sustainable. And if you recognize yourself in any of this, you already know that deep down. You have a brilliant month when you launch something or you have a big push, and then it goes quiet because that launch energy drops and there's nothing underneath it to maintain the flow of clients. You're great at getting clients, but not at creating a consistent pathway that brings them in without that big push every time. You've got offers, but they're not connected in a way that creates a natural progression for your clients, a natural recurring income for your business. And if you're honest, what you're doing is selling reactively. When it goes quiet, you go into must get more clients mode. When it's busy, you go into delivery mode. And that cycle just keeps on repeating. What you have is a structure problem. You can't see the structure clearly because you're too deep inside it. And that's the part I really want you to hear today. You're smart, you're amazing, you're experienced, you're working incredibly hard. So why does this keep happening? Because you can't see the label from inside the bottle. And I think it's the most accurate description of where a lot of business owners get stuck. When you're deep in the doing of your business, delivering for clients, creating content, handling inquiries, making decisions on the go, you lose the ability to see it clearly. You're so close to it that you genuinely can't distinguish between what's working and what's just keeping you busy, between what's moving your business forward and what's just maintaining it, between the activities that are building something sustainable and the activities that are just filling the gaps between these big launches. And what makes it worse at this specific level is you've outgrown a lot of the generic general advice. The 3 content doesn't go deep enough anymore. The courses don't quite fit. The people around you are either earlier on in their journey or operating at a completely different level. So the outside perspective that used to come naturally, the fresh eyes, the honest challenge, the someone who can see what you can't, that quietly disappears. And it disappears at the point where you need it most. So you end up making decisions based on what you can manage right now rather than what's actually right for your business. You've been meaning to look at your pricing for months, but there's always something more urgent. You've got an idea that keeps coming back, but you never find the space to sit with it properly. You're delivering brilliantly for your clients, but your own business strategy hasn't had your full attention in longer than you'd like to admit. Any of this ringing true? You're the last person on your own to-do list, and your business is starting to pay for it. And I want to share something with you, not because this episode is about my story, but because I think it is the most honest way I can show you what staying inside the bottle actually costs you. I built a seven-figure business, and for years I knew something wasn't right. The inconsistency, the exhaustion, the sense that the effort required to keep it going was completely unsustainable. I could feel it. I just couldn't see it clearly enough to fix it. Because I was so deep in the doing, I couldn't get enough perspective to understand what actually needed to change. And I never created the space to look at it properly. Never got the right outside perspective from someone who could see what I couldn't, someone who wasn't inside the bottle with me. And by the time I could finally see it clearly enough to act, I was too burnt out to fix it. So I walked away from a seven-figure business because I'd stayed too close for too long. And the question I ask myself now, not with regret, but with real honesty, is what might have been different if I'd stopped to look up sooner. If I'd got the right person alongside me who could see my label clearly, who could see the structure that wasn't working, the decisions I kept avoiding, the version of the business that was possible if I'd just been willing to get outside it long enough to build it. Now, I don't share that to scare you. I share it because I think some of you are in an earlier version of that story right now, and you have something I didn't have at that point. You have the awareness that something needs to change, and I want you to take advantage of that. I don't want you to waste that awareness. I want you to get really honest about the true cost here, not the obvious one, the hidden cost. Every month, the peaks and troughs cost you more than just revenue from a quiet month. It costs you the confidence that comes with knowing your business works reliably. That quiet, steady knowing that you don't have to chase it every month because the structure is doing the work. You don't have that yet. And that absence of confidence affects every decision you make. It costs you the ability to be bold, because when you're one quiet month away from going back into hustle mode, you can't make the big strategic decisions your business needs. You're always reacting, always managing, never quite leading. It costs you headspace, the thinking time, the strategic time, the time to look at your business properly and ask the questions that would actually move it forward, because you're always too busy dealing with right now to think about what comes next. And then the really expensive bit, it costs you time, months, sometimes years of doing the same thing harder instead of doing something different smarter. I've been one restructure away, one strategic decision away, one outside perspective away from something actually clicking into place, but never quite getting there because you can never see clearly enough from inside to know what that thing is. The business you can see in your head, the one that makes consistent money without the constant hustle, that feels spacious and sustainable and like it's working for you rather than the other way around, that business exists. You just can't build it from inside the bottle. So what's the answer? And I want to be really clear here because I know what your brain is going to jump to. Another course, a new strategy, a different approach to content, working harder, getting up earlier, doing more. No, none of these will fix a perspective problem because they all happen inside the bottle. What fixes a perspective problem is getting outside the bottle. It's having someone who can see your label clearly because they're not inside it with you. Someone who can look at the structure of your business and see where the inconsistency is actually coming from. Who can see the disconnects in your offer suite that are creating the peaks and troughs. Who can see the pricing that's keeping you on the hamster wheel. Who can see the client pathway that's missing. Who can ask the questions you're not asking yourself because you're too close to know they're the right questions. And practically, right now, today, I want to give you the questions I want you to sit with. Here we go. Where is my income actually coming from? And is it reliable? Or is it always attached to a big push? What would my business look like if I stopped launching and just let the structure do the work? Where am I the bottleneck in my own business? What am I doing manually every single month that should be working without me? And then this last one, what's the one thing that if I fixed it would change everything else? You cannot answer these questions properly from inside the doing. You need space and you need someone who can see what you can't. The inconsistent income isn't proof that something is wrong with you or your business. It's not proof that you need to work harder or show up more or try a different strategy. It's actually a signal that your business has outgrown its current structure and you're too close to it to see what actually needs to change. You already know something needs to shift. You've known for a while. The question isn't whether you need outside perspective. The question is how long you're going to wait before you actually go and get it. Because the version of your business that makes consistent money without the constant hustle, that exists. You just need to get outside the bottle long enough to build it. And if you're ready to do that, and you don't want to do it alone, the Scale Mastermind is the room I've built for exactly this. It's a small group, real strategy, honest conversations, but most importantly, outside perspective from someone who can see your label clearly because I'm not inside that bottle with you. That sounds like the room you need right now. I'm going to pop the link in the show notes. Come and have a look and see if it feels right. As ever, no pressure. I'm just opening that door for you. Okay, that's your episode for today. And if it landed, I want to know which bit hit hardest. So come and send me a DM on Instagram at I am Emma Hine. And if you know someone who needs to hear this today, please share it with them because I think there's a lot of people doing brilliant work inside a bottle they can't yet see out of. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.